Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the game room. So let me say, but this is the first before. I haven't done one of these for a while because I've been having problems with uploading my content because I ran out of storage. I'm filming these on an iPhone, so I ran out of iCloud storage. So needless to say, my brother's sorted it out now. So thanks to my brother for sorting it out. So we should be back. Should be able to film as normal. And we say before I start, so this is the view from the game room window today. So first, I'm based in the UK. I'm in England for those that don't know me in person. This is the view from the game room window today, which is pretty much what it was yesterday. Not great weather. Anyway, so now we'll get on with today's video, which is going to be slightly different to normal. Let me say first of all, I've been through those that have been watching the channel for a while. I've been basically going through my various gaming collections. And you say I've been going for about a year now. And you say thanks to all the subscribers, hopefully we should be able to try and double the subscriber basis this year. And you say this video is going to be a little bit different. So say those that have been watching for a while will know I like my games at different ends of the spectrum. I like basically things I have to think about. So I like my RPGs and basically my digital TCGs. Then I also like games are more at the opposite end of the spectrum. I like various arcadey games. So I like things such as I like my shmups, I like my arcade races, and I like what's going to be today's features presentation, which are a bit more harking back to the days of the arcade, which are Lightgun games. So I'm going to feature my Lightgun game collection, which are going to be dating basically across a whole range of platforms. And these games, even though I've featured the machines in this video, I excluded all these games, so most of them, unless bar a couple, probably haven't been in my other videos. Anyway, today's featured presentation is going to be Lightgun games, and we're just going to show you a brief spectrum of the things we're going to be covering today. So it's going to be show you across all range of platforms. We're going to have dating back to quite a way. Anyway, let's say Lightgun games. So for those that don't know Lightgun games basically originated in the arcade, and they've been going back quite a while now. We're going to show you basically through my collection and so what. And we say basically, so Lightgun games. There's a problem with Lightgun games now is basically Lightgun games are based on old school technology. So Lightgun games, most of them, unless you're emulating them, and even depending on what you use, you basically if you're using original old school hardware that basically isn't a Wii, which is the basic way to play them in HD, most of them, you're basically you're having to use an old school CRT. For instance, so this isn't the CRT I use, but that's an old school CRT. That's a PVM, that's a professional video monitor. That's what a CRT equivalent, that's like a professional one. I actually play on my Lightgun games, I actually use a larger I've got like a 40-inch Sony, which is in the other room because it won't fit in the game room currently. Hopefully, eventually I'll get them all into one room. And it says you need an old school CRT unless you're using a thing. Although there are newer guns that will able you to use them on an HD TV, which are soft like the Sinden light gun, which enables you to combine with like an emulator. Will enable you to play the games on a more current TV. Anyway, if you're using original hardware, you need a CRT generally. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a selection of my guns dating back. So some of the earlier the oldest gun in my collection is this one. I'll try and get it out. Sorry for that. Right. So this one is the oldest gun in my collection. So this is for its age. It's in reasonably good condition. So this is from a machine called the Binatone. So for those that don't know Binatone, they're basically it's a kind of a Pong console that also had some gun games with it. This is the box for it. This is the Binatone TV game gun, it's called. I'm going to show you the gun. It's in reasonably good condition for its age. I got this and the machine. I can't remember what I paid for it. Don't really remember much about it. Anyway, I'm going to basically click the trigger and see what it sounds like. The guns vary tremendously in basically build quality and various things. Let me say, would you confuse this one with an actual weapon? Let me see, some of them are in more... This one looks more realistic than quite a lot of them. Let's see how clicky the trigger is and see what you think. My dog doesn't like this. She's not currently with us at the moment anyway, so if she comes along, we will see. It's got a more weighty trigger feel to it than some of the guns. Anyway, that's the Binatone TV game gun. One of the early guns on the market. And you say as I normally do. I'm going to quote price charting values on most of these items. So and I'll link my collection in the description for those that want to look in a bit more detail. Anyway, that's the Binatone TV gun, an early gun. I think it probably dates to the late 70s. I'm not 100% sure. Right, so next we're going to go on. Okay, so I'll go with this because it's one of the earliest ways I played the gun games. Oh, sorry, I ruined that. We'll see that in a bit more detail in a minute. Okay, so basically how I played gun games first. I started out. The earliest gun games I played were on the computer, and they were basically on the computer. They basically didn't have a light gun. So I started a bit early, but these are the first computer I know with gun games. So these are all the ones I'm about to show you are primarily are Amiga versions of the thing. So this was one of the first 16-bit home computers. I mean, you say it's a Commodore made them. Anyway, check out my. If some people want more detail on my disc-based collection, I did a PC and Amiga video. And we said this is Operation Wolf. So this is basically a game that dated back to the arcade, but this is the home conversion, the Amiga home conversion. And basically it's a kind of a military style shooter. But in the arcade, basically in the arcade there were two types of gun games that basically came in the thing. There were what are called fixed position gun games. And there's more newer ones which are more like free roaming. So this is more like a fixed position gun game because the gun was mounted to the cabinet, more like a machine gun, and it was used in that. And you basically turned it left and right and up and down. Basically, you couldn't move the gun actually. Anyway, so this is Operation Wolf for the Amiga. It's also got a sequel called Operation Thunderbolt as well, which is also available on the Amiga, along with others. I believe there's a NES conversion of this as well. I'm not sure if that one had light gun support. Anyway, the way you played this on the computer was using a mouse, which was one of the ways you could play this game. I thought the game was fun. I didn't feel the light gun games at the time were the best. These being the best ways to play them on at home. But then you say they didn't really have light guns available for the computer. Anyway, that's Operation Wolf, a one to try on some other platform, I would think. Right, I mean, you say there's more available. So this is basically this has made one of my earlier videos. Just ignore the three other games on the box. The one we're focusing on today is Terminator 2, the arcade game, which is in the top right-hand corner of the box. So this was also another fixed position gun games based on Terminator 2, the movie with Arnold, and that I think it's got the voice synthesized from that as well. And when you say this is also, I believe, one of Retro Ralph's favorite gun games. You should check out Retro Ralph on YouTube. He's also a good YouTuber. He mainly focuses on arcade stuff. And that's Terminator 2, the arcade game. One to play on another platform. Anyway, that's also uses the mouse. Okay, so now that's basically most of the ones available on the computer. Well, the ones I've got anyway. Now we've got something which is a slight more, a more derivative. It was a spin-off from a gun game, and we said we're going to show it later, which is going to be a spin-off from House of the Dead. So we've got, this is the Typing of the Dead. So this is a spin-off from House of the Dead 2. We'll get into the main House of the Dead series shortly. And when you say this is a different thing, so this is basically, this also came out on the Dreamcast, this on the Sega Dreamcast as well, but it was a Japanese only. So this is a European version. So this is the Typing of the Dead. So instead of the gun-based section of the game, the shooting has all been replaced with you basically having to type various words in time to kill the enemies like that. And other than that, it's basically House of the Dead 2. This game is expensive. This game is going for... I need to get the paper, sorry for that. Right, I've got the paper. So it's going for £77.37, that one, so it's really expensive. I paid 50p to £1 for it in the charity shop. I'd recommend that if you're looking, if it's something different, but I don't remember. This probably won't play on the newer PC. This was around, I played this on a Windows XP machine at the time, so I think you might need to emulate it. Anyway, to say there's also available there's another typing of the Dead game which uses the House of the Dead 3, and this is based on 2. Anyway, so that's one to look out for. I mean, you said I don't actually think of many other typing games, full stop. But you say there's a Pokemon one as well, which is on the DS, and that has a mini keyboard as well. Anyway, that's the typing of the Dead. Right, you say we've been through the early computer ones. Let's see what we go now. I'm going to do the Xbox ones because there's not very many. Okay, so basically we'll start on the Xbox. So these are all going to be OG Xbox. There's not many gun games on the OG Xbox, but this is one of the things I'm going to show you. I'm going to say I have to hold it up because it's huge. Okay, so this is the Lightgun from Silent Scope. So Silent Scope is a arcade game which was used one of these kind of large light guns on the cabinet. So you basically play as a sniper, and the aim is to basically there's a time limit system. So you basically have to shoot various people on the screen to try and get more time and basically save hostages. The gimmick being you're playing from like a perspective. So you're basically on the cabinet. If you're watching someone play it on the cabinet, you wouldn't be able to see much because it's all really zoomed in when they're using the scope on the rifle. And this is the best way to play it in the home, I would say. So this rifle is huge. So this is one of the biggest light guns you're going to see. This is more similar in style to like one of the large shoulder mounted ones for like the SNES, for like the Super Scope or something. And we'll get into those in a minute. Anyway, so this has so many features. This is the best way to play the game in the home. This I believe it has a shoulder mount, which is basically important to keeping the thing on your shoulder. They have various scope sensitivity. I believe it's got, I think it's got recoil and stuff, and various other things. I would say something's distracting me. So a minute, we'll carry on going. Okay, so it's got various other features. It's got like pump action and various stuff, and it's got feedback and stuff. Anyway, you can also, if you're going to play a regular gun game, you can, which there are a couple, I'll show you some of them in a minute. You can just detach this the shoulder mount and detach the end bit, and you can use it for other gun games. And you say that's the rifle for Silent Scope. I got this Hook Road car boot thing. I paid like £6 for it at the time, which in this condition with the game. Right, I'll get to the game. Okay, so then we move on to the games themselves. So we're starting with the thing. This is Silent Scope Complete. So this is basically all the Silent Scope games on the Xbox. This is a conversion of so there's all the Silent Scope games on this. I believe it's four games, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's basically all the Silent Scope games with all the extra bits. There's one Silent Scope game that's not featured on this. It's Silent Scope Fortune Hunter, which was an arcade-only release. It was basically like a prize redemption kind of game that I remember them having in Laser Quest back when I went to Laser Quest. And then you say that was basically paid out in actual cash, because you basically build up in real time basically for shooting things. You added money to your jackpot, and then at the end you had to hit a target on like a thing, and if you hit the target at the end you got prize equal to what your jackpot was. Anyway, I recommend Silent Scope. Silent Scope is one of the more frenetic. It's not as busy as some of the light gun games, but there's quite a lot of time pressure in it. And so I do recommend Silent Scope. It's a very good game. I do believe you can also get a PlayStation 2 version as well, but I'm not sure if you got the light gun with it. Anyway, that's Silent Scope. It's going for £7 something. I don't think that's with the gun. I believe that's just the game. And we've got a House of the Dead game. So there weren't many gun games on the original Xbox anyway, and this is one of them. This is House of the Dead 3, a continuation of the House of the Dead series, which dates back to the Saturn. We'll see some of the other ones later. Anyway, this is House of the Dead 3. You can get, there's another way to play this game. You can play there's a Wii version, so you can get the House of the Dead 2 and the 3 ported to the Wii, which might be the easy way to play it. And there's not very many light gun games on the Xbox. If you're just trying to buy the light gun games, I'd go for the Wii version. It's a lot easier to get. Anyway, that's House of the Dead 3. I do think House of the Dead 2 is better though. Okay, so that's that. We will start with let's do the Nintendo ones first. So we'll start with the NES and work our way through. Right, so the NES was the... Nintendo started on their light guns quite early at the NES era. So these were in the early 80s, so they're about nearly as old as me. So this one is the first one. I mean, you say you're not going to confuse the so the NES Zapper for a actual gun. You see how bright it is. It's got a duller kind of clink feel to it than anyway. Anyway, back in the days, this was one of the earlier light guns. Anyway, it's quite bright and primary colours. You're not going to mistake this for a real weapon. Anyway, as I showed you some of the other light guns earlier, I think this one has aged better because it doesn't have as many grey parts that kind of go this horrible kind of colour, which you can't really stop very easily. Alright, that's the NES Zapper. This is really expensive. This was a big surprise when I was looking for it. My copy, as you can see, is boxed and complete. The NES Zapper was also available generally in a bundle with the NES, which was I believe it was the NES Action Set, which was available, and also sometimes had Rob the Robot in, and was generally bundled with Duck Hunt as well. Anyway, the NES Zapper is going for a lot at the moment. It's going for in complete box condition. These are all European ones I'm going to quote at. It's going for $272.41, which is quite expensive for a light gun anyway. It's not even the whole machine. Anyway, we've also got one of the most earliest light gun games. So we got the Duck Hunt, which is a pack-in, which was available as a pack-in. They also did a dual. It was available also available with Mario, the original Mario in a pack-in. So this is Duck Hunt. This is an early style light gun game. So at the time, this is based on hunting in real life. So you've basically got you're trying to aim is to shoot the ducks on the screen, and there's also like a various other mode. It's like skeet, so it's effectively clay pigeon shooting for the NES. Anyway, this was one of the earliest light gun games. I mean, this is still going for supposedly back in the days, you were able to basically, due to how the technology worked, you were able to adjust the contrast on the system, and you were effectively able to hit the targets nearly all the time. I mean, I imagine there are people that have got complete perfects on this game. Anyway, this game is quite a lot. But see, my copy it's box complete. It's not in great condition. It's got some wear, and they look like they've got many tape marks on it, which I haven't tried to clean off, to be honest. Anyway, it's going for $48.78, and that's the Zapper for the Wii. Sorry, it's not the Wii Zapper. We'll get onto the Wii Zapper later. It's the Zapper for the NES. And then we've got another gun game. So this is Gumshoe. I don't really know much about this one. I can't remember playing it. My copy is complete, but it doesn't have the box, so it's loose in the slipcase with the manual. That one's going for $29.36, and NES is one of the more expensive platforms to collect for sure. I've had mine for quite a while, and when you say if you're starting NES collecting now, it's quite expensive, unless you're going for unboxed games. Right, so we say I'm going to explain a bit now, because I basically don't have the next thing I'm going to talk about. So the next Nintendo console after the NES was the SNES. I mean, you say I know a bit about the gun because I have played with one, but I don't currently have one. So the gun for the NES was called for the SNES was called the Super Scope. The Super Scope, I remember renting it from Blockbuster back in the day. So the SNES Super Scope was a huge thing. It's similar to the Silent Scope gun that I just showed you. And it was basically a huge thing that was designed to... It sat on your shoulder. It was quite heavy. It came with a pack in like a multi-cart, a 6-game multi-cart with it that had 6 different games on it. None of them being very good. There were some other ones available separately as well, but there weren't very many. I remember it being. I don't think the gun was great at the time. I don't think it's tremendously accurate or anything. But then anyway, there was also a Yoshi's game available for it. I believe it was Yoshi's Story. Yes, it was Yoshi's Story, not to be confused with Yoshi Island, the 2D platform game. Anyway, Yoshi's Story was available for it, which was like a gun game with Mario riding around on Yoshi and shooting some targets. I don't think there were very many gun games anyway. And when you say the next Nintendo platform makes up for this is the best Nintendo platform for gun games. So we'll go, and this is the first when Nintendo basically fix their things to enable them to work on the HD TV. So this is of what is called the Wii Zapper. So this is basically a thing. It's not like a normal light gun. It's basically just a housing peripheral to put your Wii remote in. So I'm using the Zelda limited one from the Zelda thing. So oh yeah, they missed a ball on that, the Zelda thing. So they didn't give you a nunchuck. They didn't give you a golden nunchuck. So you had to use a regular nunchuck with that one. So unfortunately they didn't give you a gold nunchuck. I think they missed the boat on that one. Anyway, it's basically a housing for you to put your Wii remote and nunchuck in. So you basically hold it like that for a gun, and you can move. Basically you can then move with the with the nunchuck on some of the games and use the other thing to shoot. Anyway, it's a good peripheral. They're not very expensive now. I'll just check how much this one is in a minute. Anyway, there's lots of gun games on the Wii. I mean, you say even these, sometimes the Wii sensor bars and these kind of things are used in emulation setups. Anyway, so there's that. Okay, so basically the packing game with it was Link's Crossbow Training. So this is a fun Zelda spin-off. And when you say, I like my Zelda games, and when you say this Zelda game is probably not going to be as well remembered as some of the main games in the main franchise, and even some more of the spin-offs. But this is a good Zelda game, and it's a gun game as well. So it's basically like a target shooting game. So you basically go... it's basically designed about replaying levels, trying to get high scores, and that rather than being a long, in-depth game. So you're basically trying to replay levels and do various things. So it's like... target shooting, basically. I think you do some on like horseback and various bits like that. Anyway, Link's Crossbow Training, a fun game and a good Zelda game as well. I'd recommend Link's Crossbow Training. It's generally is available as a pack-in with the Wii Zapper, going for $15.94 with the peripheral. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to pick up a stack of games now. How best I can do it. Sorry if I spoil anything. Alright, that's some of the later ones. Don't worry about it. Alright, so the first games I'm going to feature are just, like, they're not particularly gun games. I wouldn't call them. They're just compatible with the Wii Zapper. So it enables you to play them that way if you want, rather than use a more traditional controller. They're not anything special in that kind of function. But, like, okay, so we're going to feature those ones first. So we're going to have Call of Duty Reflex Edition. So this is basically Call of Duty on the Wii, compatible with the Wii Zapper. I haven't tried it yet. I'll probably try it at some point, but I haven't got around to it. Anyway, that's Call of Duty Reflex Edition, and that's going for £2.91. Then we've got a good game, Sin and Punishment. This I've been in my video before. I haven't got an immediate price for it. It's more expensive than some game. It's a good treasure game. Whether the Wii Zapper is the best way to control it, I think I have used that method. I would probably stick to the GameCube controller or ProPad actually. But anyways, that's Sin and Punishment. The Wii Sin and Punishment was compatible with the Zapper. And last game, which is more like a thing, is GoldenEye 007, where the Wii version of GoldenEye 007, which is not like the N64 game anyway, for sure. I mean, I haven't played this one, actually. Anyway, to say it's compatible with the Wii Zapper. Haven't got a price. Don't worry about it. Anyway, okay, we move on to actual gun games now. So we've got Dead Space Extraction. So this is one of the games in the Dead Space universe. There are not many Dead Space games. There are only 3 main series games, which date back to the Xbox 360 kind of era. I mean, you said there's also the remake of the first one available now on more current platforms. I'm looking forward to that one at some point. I haven't played that one currently. I've played all the other Dead Space games, and I will wait. I think I'll wait for a sale on it. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get it later at some point. Anyway, this is Dead Space Extraction, which is the gun game version of Dead Space. I was slightly disappointed in this one, and they said that the gun games, they can be at two different ends of the spectrum. As I say, they're either basically more frenetic and more action based, or slower, and this one is definitely on the slowest end of the spectrum. And we see Dead Space as a game series isn't generally about like raw action most of the time. It's more about jump scares and that. So it's similar in effect to like a Resident Evil kind of game, and more about like jump scares and stuff like that. And we said Dead Space Extraction, the gun game, I wasn't as keen on it as some people. I still feel it's one worth trying. I mean, I'd rather play the main series game. Anyway, it's going for a reasonable amount. It's going for £16.76. Right, now we move on to the Resident Evil gun games. So they date back to the the Resident Evil gun games have been going for a while. They date back to the PS1. We'll see some of those. I think Gun Survivor's the first one. Anyway, these Resident Evil gun games, there's a Resident Evil game. You think above average difficulty on average, but like some of the newer ones are quite easy, I feel. Anyway, I mean, so this is Resident Evil: The Dark Side Chronicles. So this is the second one in the series. This one hasn't. These are at the slower end of the spectrum, and some of these enemies take quite a lot of shots. It's some of the harder gun games. This one is actually the second game. The first one's easier on the Wii version. Anyway, that's the Dark Side Chronicles, not particularly based on any game in the any Resident Evil main series game. Anyway, I mean, it's going for Dark Side Chronicles is $8.99, and it's the original one, which is Resident Evil: The Umbrella Chronicles. This is based on Resident Evil, I think it's 0, 1, and 3. So it's based on those three games. This one is harder than the second one. This one I had to turn the difficulty down from the default, I believe, to finish one of the missions. Anyway, the second one I did on the default. Anyway, I mean, that one's going for a similar price. It's £8 something. Right, now we've got something slightly more unusual. So we've got, this is the Gunblade double pack. So this is Gunblade New York and LA Machine Gunners, the sequel on it. So these games were originally Sega arcade games. They're basically a fixed mounted gun game again. So you're effectively, I think I remember playing it on the cabinet at the time, probably at Laser Quest again. I said a lot of the memories I have from some of these games are from Laser Quest. And we need to say they're basically like a fixed mounted gun game. So you're playing from what is like a person which is in a helicopter. I believe it's a Sega Model 2 arcade game, I think. And when you say this looks kind of similar to Virtual Cop in kind of graphics and style anyway. I think it's on similar hardware. Anyway, so this is LA Machine Gunners. This one is slightly more expensive than average. This one's going for £34. I'd recommend that. It's quite action heavy. Right, so now we move on to the... Alright, so we move on to another Sega game, Ghost Squad. I mean, so this is a fun game. It's again based on Sega arcade hardware. This one comes from I got this from Kart Club, so that must be when I started playing Magic. So this one has the so this has a similar kind of system. So you basically replay various bits of the game. This is one of the games that had branching levels, so you can replay the levels and attempt to go various different routes. And it was also if you rescued various hostages, you also get various different rewards and stuff. So I mean, which was the earliest gun game to feature hostage rescue? I think it was Virtual Cop, I believe, was one of the earliest games to feature that kind of thing. Anyway, it's a Sega game. I'd recommend Ghost Squad, and it's not very expensive now. It's going for about £3 something. Right, so that's Ghost Squad. Now we've got another House of the Dead game. So this is House of the Dead Overkill, which is on the Wii version. This is also not a very family friendly game compared to some of the games released on the on the Wii. There's a couple of F-bombs on there for a start, and it's got a kind of grindhouse kind of vibe, similar to an old school kind of horror film. And when you say House of the Dead Overkill, if you're looking for a more mature game, it's okay. I mean, I think I prefer the other House of the Dead games, to be honest. I wasn't necessarily that enamoured with it. I think, say, House of the Dead has got some kind of cheesy voice acting, but that's part of the gun games thing. It's like cheesy voice acting, and that is like part of the normal. And when you say House of the Dead Overkill is also available on, there's a PlayStation 3 version of this, which is more like a director's cut of this game. It also has a bit more content. I believe it's got 2 additional levels, but like I haven't got that version currently, but I should keep my eyes open and I'll pick it up at some point. Right, so that's the thing. So now there's one more thing, which is another one. So this is Mad Dog McCree. This is the Gunslinger pack. So this is basically a live action shooter. So basically these kind of style of gun games date back to the they originate on Laserdisc hardware from the arcade, and these were like live action kind of style of games. I mean, what's the say? There are lots of gun games that have westerns as a theme. This is one of them. So this is basically the Mad Dog McCree collection. It features Mad Dog McCree 1, 2. And The Last Bounty Hunters. So they're basically like live action kind of games. I thought these games didn't play very well. I thought they were quite clunky and not very satisfying. The motion detection and various stuff like that. And we see it's going for $11.99 now. Not a big thing. And we say that's Mad Dog McCree, the Gunslinger pack. Right, and then we said we've got various hunting games. They originate from America. And we say the ones that get released in this territory, they're not as many of them as they are in North America. And when you say there are various other YouTubers that have done various gun game videos, such as Gaming Off the Grid and Metal Jesus, and that, which I'll see if I can link it in the collection in the description below, if you want to check out various other collections on various gun games. And you say those ones are basically North American focused, where mine are European versions. I mean, this is Cabela's Dangerous Hunts 2011. So this is a hunting game where basically a lot of them are going to originate from that kind of thing, where you basically go through various scenes, and you basically aim is to hunt various things. So it's worth looking at, though. They say this one has a shot. Basically, these came out in bigger box sets as well, and they were available with these various peripherals, what called the Top Shot thing. So you can get the Top Shot Elite, which I'm showing there, which is like a miniature pistol kind of thing, and then you've got the Top Shot, which is more like a rifle, which all are available separately. I mean, you say if you're looking out for those, they're probably more expensive than these ones. That one's going for Cabela's Dangerous Hunts 11. Let's go for 1969, that version. I mean, I've definitely finished them all. I'm pretty sure I've finished most of these games. And this is North American Hunting Extravaganza. Another game like Cabela, I don't think it plays as well as that one. That one's only going for £6 something. I mean, you say that's the Wii games. And when you say there's not very many other, so Nintendo didn't do many more gun games. They basically, the next console being the Wii U, didn't have any gun games. I mean, you say the Switch doesn't really have any gun games, other than there's a House of the Dead version recently, but that didn't really have a Lightgun peripheral release, so I don't really count it as a gun game. And we say we shall start with the we'll go with the Sega stuff next. So let's go. We'll start at the Master System and work our way through. Okay, so we've got. I'm just going to pan around. Okay, so this is my box Master System 2. So this is worth bearing in mind because this is the Master System Plus pack. Oh, I've spoiled the game, but never mind. This is basically the box Master System Plus that basically was released in Europe like this. So it's basically a boxed Master System. This is a Model 1 Master System, bear in mind. This is not the Model 2, so this was the one that had the card slot and it's a Model 1 Master System. So this came boxed, came with two controllers, the unit, the light phase, which is what we're showing it for, and it came with Hang On and Safari Hunt. Safari Hunt being a gun game. So this is the light phaser for the Master System. So it's this black looking light phaser, it's called. So the light phaser is going for 30 quid loose on its own, so I don't know what the machine's going for with the things, but I think it's probably going to be reasonably expensive. I mean, say I couldn't find a price for it at the moment. And we said that's the light phaser on the Master System, as opposed to the NES one. That one looks a lot more realistic. Maybe they were trying to get it to blend in with the black tone of the machine. I'm going to say the NES one was a lot brighter than the NES. It doesn't blend in with the grey of the NES. Anyway, say we've got a couple of games for it. We've got Wanted, which is another Western style gun game. It says shooting game on the thing. It's complete. It's got even got the hang tab on this one. That's Wanted on the Master System. Don't remember much about it. Looks like a Cabal kind of thing on the box, but it's somewhere not going to be like that game because it's compatible with the a light gun. I mean that's Cabal Wanted. Sorry, not Cabal. It's going for £15 something. PS Sega. Yeah, going for £15.90. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the next one. So the next one being the Saturn. I'll apologise. I couldn't find my Saturn light gun. I can tell you it's not the original Saturn light gun game that came with Virtual Cop, but it's a third-party one. I couldn't find it in time for the video. I'll show you it again at some point in maybe a later video if I can find it. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Saturn. We're going to talk about Virtual Cop. So we're going to talk about Virtual Cop, the Sega Model. It's a Model 2 arcade game. It dates back to the thing. So this one is based on basically one of the earliest gun games to have, I believe, hostage rescue in it, and it also pioneered what's called the justice shot, I believe it is. So it's if you shoot the enemy at exactly the right time, you get like I believe it's a time extension or something like that, all your points go up. I can't quite remember. I've definitely finished this one. I remember seeing someone play it on Games Master. So Games Master, for those that remember, it was a classic British video game program that basically was a load of people doing various challenges, and I remember them playing either like two cabinets of this simultaneously and trying to finish it on 2 cabinets at once. Anyway, Virtual Cop, a fun gun game. I mean, I've got another conversion of it, and I play it on the conversion because I feel the gun is a lot less weighty than the one I've got. I mean, so that's Virtual Cop 2. I do believe there's another Virtual Cop game, but I think that was arcade only. I think there was another one, 3, I believe. Right. There's also House of the Dead. Had a conversion on the Saturn, and that was, I think that's more expensive than average though. All right, let's go on to the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was a great machine, and I remember getting mine on launch. So it was I believe, my only Sega machine I had on launch. Anyway, so this is the main peripheral for the Dreamcast light gun. So this is the official Dreamcast light gun. So this was released as this in Europe. So this is basically got that's the clicking trigger, and it's got this warning: do not point the Dreamcast gun at anyone. On that kind of warning thing. Anyway. It's also got the slot for you can either have a slot for VMU or the Rumble accessory thing. Anyway, it's heavier than some of the light guns, but I still feel it's relatively good. I'd rather play it with this one than the third-party one I'm going to show you in a minute. Anyways, that's the official Dreamcast light gun. I mean, say this was released with House of the Dead in Europe, but in America, I believe, due to the Columbine shootings, they couldn't release the light gun with the game, and they had to put it in. I think they had to release a third-party one instead. Anyway, this is House of the Dead 2. So this was the first game I played in the House of the Dead series, unless I played the original on the arcade. I can't remember if I played the original on the arcade cabinet or not. Anyway, so this is House of the Dead 2, one of my favourites in the House of the Dead series. We're meeting G over here and stuff like that are some of the voice lines from it, and there's got thing. So I would say this is one of the harder gun games on a platform, and you say this one there's quite a lot of enemies on the screen, and some of the bosses take quite a lot of hits. Magician in particularly, I remember being quite difficult. Anyway, I remember taking this into school, and we ran a Dreamcast in Charities Week, and we were raising money for charity, and this was one of the games that I featured, that I bought my machine in to play, where I had people paying to play this effectively. I mean, you say the main series tournament was Soul Calibur, but we had House of the Dead 2 as well. I mean, this is House of the Dead 2. Mine's complete in box. I've had it from new, and it's going for quite a lot. It's going for 78.27. Anyway, that's House of the Dead 2 on the Dreamcast. It's a good game and one of the best gun games. Right, now we'll move on to the third-party one. So we've got a Mad Catz. This is what's called the Dream Blaster. So this is the Dream Blaster. It's similar in style to the other gun. It's a bit lighter and it doesn't have as much weight to it. I believe this one might have... Oh, so this has got... but bear in mind, some of the guns have additional features. So I think this one has auto fire and turbo shot and stuff like that. And they've also, the Dreamcast ones, have got this little D-pad thing because it's designed so you can actually navigate the menus in the thing. There's also a grip on this one, which has gone this kind of colour. And we said the grey peripherals don't survive very well because they start to go yellow or change colour. If you can hear any noise in the back, it's my dog. I don't know if my brother's arrived or something, but like, the dog is acting up. Alright, that's the Dream Blaster for the Sega Dreamcast. Right, so we've done the Sega things. I've done the Saturn, I've done the Dreamcast. Yeah, so we've done all the Sega stuff. So we'll move on to the PlayStation to finish with. So we'll start with the PS1, I think. Alright, so the original, okay, for PlayStation, there's a couple of different gun peripherals available. So there's basically two different ones, the main ones you have to be concerned with. And some of the guns aren't going to run one set of games, those, so we'll explain as we go. So this is the original one, so this is a G-Con. So this originates with these are based with the Namco games that were basically done in the, originated in the arcade. Anyway, that's the click. It goes this something like this colour. I've cleaned most of the peripherals for this video anyway. And we said that's the gun, and then they've got the slot bit on the top, which is like the button in Time Crisis, which you have to basically duck. Basically, because Time Crisis basically in the arcade had a foot pedal. And then basically instead of having this, you got this button here, which you had to press to reload rather than use the foot pedal. Apparently you can get a kind of like thing to emulate the foot pedal. Anyway, that's the G-Con. That's the one of the the guns, and you needed this thing which comes in the box with it. My copy's complete. I've got the box upstairs. Right, so we go through some games. Oh, there's basically some of these games I'm going to show won't work with the G-Con, and you needed what was the equivalent, I believe it's the Konami Justifier, which was things you needed to play those games. Anyway, so we've got Die Hard Trilogy arcade, that being the first one. That's got 3 different games, only one of them being a gun game. I can't remember which movie they are. Which one's the gun game? I believe it's based on the third, Die Hard with a Vengeance, so the third film. So that's basically what Die Hard Trilogy, and it's going for not a lot. It's going for $3.99. That's an original Black Label one. And we've got Die Hard Trilogy. So most of these still have the price tag on. I mean, I got them a long time ago. I just haven't got around to taking the tag off. I probably should do it at some point. That's Die Hard Trilogy 2. And it's going for £6.29. Bear in mind, I haven't played these because I haven't got the Justifier which is needed to play these games because they're not compatible with the G-Con. Anyway, last game that's only compatible with the Justifier. So it's Area 51. So this is another old school arcade game. So this was based on the Die Hard Trilogy. Yeah, I said how much that one was. Yes, this is Area 51. So this is a Midway arcade game. So Midway did various other games like Smash TV and that. And this is similar. So this has got similar in style to some of the other gun games. So this has got digitized actors in it as well. So they got actual people in it. Anyway, that's going for £8.62. Right, now we get on to actual gun games that I've actually played because they work with the hardware. So we'll start with Lethal Enforcers. So this is another gun game. So this is the compilation. Basically, Lethal Enforcers, the original one, was more similar in style to Virtua Cop. It came out on the Mega Drive. I mean, you say that came out with a gun pack as well. And so that similar in style to something like a Virtua Cop. That's got digitized actors as well in it though. So this is Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2. So Lethal Enforcers 2 is a different game in the Lethal Enforcers series. Oh, it shows you. So that, for instance, so this is Konami. That looks like the Justifier on the box. So that's what's needed to play those games. Oh no, this one I think is compatible with the G-Con as well. But I've definitely played this one. So that's the Justifier, which is required for some of the gun games. Anyway, this Lethal Enforcers game is expensive. It's basically Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2, and it's going for £50, 51.07. Right. Now we get on to some more interesting ones. So we've got Ghostbusters. I mean, to say there are not many Ghostbusters games. You've got there's the more recent Ghostbusters games. Anyway, this one I remember being quite fun. This is Ghostbusters Ultimate Invasion. I don't remember much about it, other than it was you might get to use the proton pack, kind of similar in style thing, going for £8 something. Then we move on to the Time Crisis series. So we go with so this one is the last one to release on the PlayStation 1. So this is Time Crisis Project Titan. This is slightly more less known than the main one. So this is basically this is basically made entirely for the PlayStation. I don't believe this one came out on arcade hardware at all. And it's got the thing. I mean, Time Crisis is one of the most iconic gun games. And so I recommend Time Crisis. Is this the best game in the series? No, probably not. And Time Crisis Project Titan is going for £8 something. And then its bigger older brothers, Time Crisis the original. This is the Platinum Edition. So this is the iconic Time Crisis game where you basically go through various levels. This one has a second mode on it, which is exclusive to the PlayStation, which is like an arranged mode. It's got various different levels. I think that had branching paths as well. The record for these aren't very long. I think it's around the 20-minute mark to finish the entire game. Anyway, this one is going for $35.99, but that is the big boxed version with the content. So that's with the gun and all the other bits in it. So that's the thing. You can also get there's a lot of these games have bigger box sets that come with the gun and with the G-Con in most situations, such as the games I'm about to show you. Okay, so we've got the Point Blank trilogy. So this is Point Blank 3, which is basically like, I would describe this as kind of like the Mario Party of gun games. It's basically on various short levels. Basically, you can play competitively with someone, and you've got various short-based games to do. Or WarioWare, compared to something like WarioWare. WarioWare is another good comparison, but it's basically about doing all these short-based micro games in various time. And that's, I mean, so Point Blank, it's a good game. They haven't really done very many. And it's worth bearing in mind, they also did a Point Blank on the DS for some reason. And that isn't going to feature on the video because I don't have it. But that's something I'll look out for. So there's Point Blank 2. I believe they're called Dan and something, the main character. Is it Doco or something? I can't remember the main characters. And it's Point Blank 2, another one in the Point Blank series, going for £20.95. And the original Point Blank. So this is the original Point Blank is going for £24.90. And I do believe there's a triple pack. I don't know if that's Japanese only, I'm going to say, which is available, which is another way to get them all in one set. Anyway, we'll go on to the PS2 now. So the PS2 had basically what is effectively, the PS2 had another, so Namco basically released one thing each one light gun each generation effectively. So they moved on from the original G-Con. They moved on to the G-Con 2. I do not have the actual official G-Con 2. I have, what I use is this, which is called a Saber, a light gun for PlayStation 2. So funny, it's also compatible with PS1 games. So it works with G-Con 1 and 2 games and some of the non-G-Con 1 and 2 games. And it's not as heavy as the official thing. It's like a pistol. It's like this is this little blue thing here. It also has, I believe it has auto reload and that as well. I can't remember if it has recoil or not. I don't think this one has recoil, and it's got this D-pad here, and it's like that. Anyway, so that's the light gun, the Saber light gun. I couldn't find a price for it. Anyway, we'll get on with the games. I mean, so the first lot I'm going to show start with this. So Capcom did some light gun games as well that weren't Resident Evil. So this This is Dino Stalker. This is a Capcom light gun game, and I thought for a Capcom game this is a below average difficulty level. It's dinosaurs anyway, so it's imagine Jurassic Park crossed with a gun game. Oh, coincidentally, I think there is an actual Jurassic Park gun game which I remember being in various cabinets. I think it was even like a big sit down thing. Anyway, that's Dino Stalker. It's going for £14.72. And we got Guncom. I mean, say most of these games I didn't pay very much for. It's got the tag on them at the time. I mean, say this is another gun game. Doesn't look much special. So it's compatible with G-Con and G-Con 45. Can't remember much about it. Okay, so we move on to the next one. So we've got Ninja Assault. Guncom's £7. This is Ninja Assault. Another G-Con 2 game with ninjas in it. Going for £5 something. And then we've got slightly more interesting ones. So we've got Vampire Knight. So this is a Namco developed game. It is very similar in style to House of the Dead. So if you've played all the House of the Dead games and you want to play something that's similar in style to House of the Dead, I'd recommend Vampire Knight. It's probably not much worse than the mainline series of House of the Dead games. Anyway, Vampire Knight, another gun game. And we go to another Resident Evil game. So we've got Resident Evil Dead Aim, which is a gun game spin-off. You see I got it in the top corner. It was 4 for a tenner or $3.99 each. So this one is, I would describe it as slower Resident Evil kind of style, because it's more based on, like, they're not a huge amount of enemies, but those that are there are quite hard. It's going for... the Resident Evil games are going up in price recently. A lot of them have gone up due to the remake of Night Number 4 on that, and they're probably at a premium at the moment. So I would just say maybe hold off if you can wait and get them later. Anyway, Resident Evil Dead Aim is going for £25.21. And we've got Gun Survivor 2 Code Veronica, which is based on Resident Evil Code Veronica. And that's going for £24. And then we've got the Time Crisis games. So we've got Time Crisis 2. All these games are generally available in big box sets that come with the guns as well. And as you say, I've got the standalone version here. I might keep my eye open for the box set. I do like the Time Crisis games. And this is Time Crisis 2. The difference between this one and the regular one was, I believe this is the first Time Crisis game that features 2-player. And there was also a mode in this where you could use 2 weapons at once in 1 player. That was quite difficult to play. I mean, you say, but that was also available if you had the hardware that supports it. And this was a transition game, so it supports the original G-Con and as well as the G-Con 2. Then that was Time Crisis 2, so we moved on to Time Crisis 3. Another, so Time Crisis 2 is going for £6 something. These ones aren't particularly expensive. I mean, so this is Time Crisis 3, another game in the Time Crisis series. The character on the right reminds me of Leona from like Metal Slug or something, but it looks very similar. So this one's going thing. So this had basically a different they had basically arranged modes that basically were for the, it says not to be sold separately on the copy in the bottom corner, so obviously it was separated from the gun. Anyway, you can say this one has a exclusive rescue mission mode and crisis mission mode. So the later games, I felt in the Time Crisis series had a bit more content in them in terms of, because they were trying to be, was the home-based conversions, because in an arcade the games were basically designed to take your money, and in the arcade they're basically, in the home they're trying to give you a bit more play value. I mean, so I do like all the Time Crisis games. That one's only £4.90, and the last one in the Time Crisis series is Crisis Zone, which is effectively the and not numbered Time Crisis series. I think this one is more on like you've got a heavier weapon, and I think you fires more shots. It's more like a machine gun from what I remember, and there was more emphasis on getting rid of the environment and environmental hazards and stuff like that. I mean, you say, oh yeah, you can play double gun mode in this as well. Okay, that's Crisis Zone. Anyway, that's more expensive than others. That's £10 something. And then we go on to the other ones. So I got this one anyway because I've already had the Saturn version. The difference is I wanted to use a gun that was lighter and that. So this is Virtual Cop 1 and 2 in basically one pack, so it's got everything in it. It's got all the modes, the co-op and everything. So that's Virtual Co-op being converted to the PS2. So that's also compatible with the G-Con 2 and that as well, so that's fine. So that version is going for, and my fingers are starting to go numb because I've been holding this camera for ages. That one's going for £15 something. Anyway, we're nearly there. We're nearly finished. Be about my average video length of about an hour or so. And then we've got Silent Scope to finish with. That's just Silent Scope on the PlayStation 2. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this version particularly. I'd get the all-in-one pack with the Lightgun to play it that way. Right, that's not going for a huge amount. I haven't even got a price for it, so I'll think. All right, so we're nearly done. So we need to say I'll talk a little bit about what I want to get. So basically, holding my Lightgun collection is basically the PS3 Lightgun, because I haven't got it's the G-Con 3 effectively, which came out on the PlayStation 3. Which was mainly came out for Time Crisis 4. So it's the Time Crisis 4 I'm looking for currently. It's currently going for around, I think it's £70 in CX, which is a UK-based retailer. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for a copy of that. I'm also after a Sinden Lightgun to enable me to play the arcade games effectively on the newer TV under an emulator. Yeah. Anyway, so that's basically what I'm looking out for at the moment. So that's pretty much everything. Oh, also, the thing is, some of the games, the VR games are like, some of them have like Lightgun kind of modes in it. So so I look forward to trying some of those at some point. I feel those could be quite fun. And we need to say there's other Time Crisis games are available on the PS3. But they're not very many. There's only about another 2 or something I'm missing. Anyway, I'll keep my eyes open for those at the moment. Anyway, we're going to round out the video now. So for the next video, we're going to do something special. We're going to offer you a choice of what video I'm going to do next. So I'm going to offer a choice of 3 topics on basically what we're going to offer. And then basically you're going to be able to vote on it. And then we'll the one with the most votes I will do within the next month or so. So the topics I'm going to offer for my next videos are going to be these. So basically, all my Xbox videos always do well. They've always got like 400 views or so. So we're going to do my favorite Xbox 360 games is going to be one of them. I'm not sure how many games I'm going to feature, but I'll have a think about it. It will be a harder one for me to think about rather than how long it would take to make. Anyway, that's going to be one of the offered topics. The next one is going to be based on my video game hardware. So I basically haven't shown a lot of my mostly boxed video game hardware. I haven't shown. I've got some recent hardware I've just picked up in the past month. Anyway, the people that know me will know what they are. But we're going to have a video about my video game hardware, showing along my selection of various generation of consoles. And I haven't showed a lot of the stuff on there. And we said there's going to be my other one. It's going to be my video game hardware. And the next one is going to be a one. It's going to be my video game. I'm going to call it something like my heaviest hitters in my collection. It's going to be my most expensive items in my collection. And I'll show you a lot about how much I paid for each thing. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to vote for those people that don't really know. So I've tried this on my Magic videos, so we're going to show you. So basically, this is my channel, Matthew Hawker Gaming. Yeah. So you need to go to the community tab section, which is available. So basically, it depends what you're using. What you're using. I don't know if this is necessarily available on everything such as mobile. Anyway, this is on PC. I'm showing you my PC at the moment. So you scroll along to the community tab, you click on it, and which is the 4th heading along, it's home video playlist community. You click on the community tab, and then there'll be a poll, and you click on what video you want to see. Anyway, that's basically how to vote. Anyway, I hopefully I've explained that well enough. Anyway, we're just going to round out the video today. Anyway, thanks very much for watching the Gun Game Special. Anyway, it was one of my promised videos. I mentioned the Gun Game Special in my first video I shot over a year ago. and now I've got round to doing it. Anyway, that's a little one off my chest. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. The best thing you can do for me is a subscription, people. I mean, I hope to try and double my subscription basis this year. Anyway, thanks very much. Don't forget to vote. See you again next month. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.